It's the Edexcel GCSE Maths Higher Tier Calculator Paper 3 from June 2023. Let's get straight into it. Question 1. Simplify m squared to the power of 3. Whenever you have a power to a power, you just multiply them together. So I'm going to do 2 multiplied by 3, which would be m to the power of 6. Part B. Simplify x to the 5 times by x to the 8. If you have the same base and you're multiplying, you just add the powers and keep the bases as they are. So I'm doing 5 plus 8 for my power. 5 add 8 is 13. That's my final answer. Part C, expand 4p and in brackets p squared plus 3p. If you've got something on the outside of the bracket and something on the inside of the bracket, you're multiplying everything on the outside by everything on the inside. So I'm doing 4p multiplied by p squared. 4 times by an invisible 1 is just 4. P multiplied by p squared, that would become p cubed. Then you've got 4p multiplied by 3p. So 4 times by 3 is 12, and p times by p is p squared. Question 2. Johnny wants to know how much coffee he will need for 800 people at a meeting. Each person who drinks coffee will drink 2 cups of coffee. 10.6 grams of coffee is needed for each cup of coffee. Johnny assumes 68% of the people will drink coffee. Using this assumption, work out the amount of coffee Johnny needs. Give your answer correct to the nearest gram. So there's 800 people altogether, and we're assuming that 68% of them will be drinking coffee. So we're going to find 68% of 800, and the way we can do that, we can change this into a decimal, and we're going to multiply it by 800. So how do we convert percentages into decimals? We just divide by 100. So 68% divided by 100 is 0.68. So we're doing 800 multiplied by 0.68, and this is telling us how many people will be drinking coffee. 800 times by 0.68 is 544. Each person is going to be drinking 2 cups of coffee, so we're going to have to multiply that number by 2, because they're all drinking 2, and 10.6 grams is going to be needed for each cup, so we're multiplying that by 10.6 as well. So we're doing 544 times by 2 times by 10.6, which is 11532.8. We want to give our answer to the nearest gram, so we're going to look after our decimal point. This 8 is telling us how we need to be rounding this number. Because it's 5 and above, we're going to give this one a shove up to 533, so it'd be 11,533 grams. Johnny's assumption is wrong. 72% of the people will drink coffee. How does this affect your answer to part A? In the first part, it said 68% will be drinking coffee, but in the second part, it says 72% are going to be drinking coffee. So it's an increase. There will be more people drinking coffee. So this will increase the answer as there are more people drinking coffee. Question 3. ACF and ADG are straight lines. BCD and EFG are parallel lines. Show that triangle ACD is isosceles. So ACD is this triangle. We're trying to prove that it's isosceles. We're just trying to prove that 2 of the angles could be the same. So it could either be C and A and D, or D and C. We'll just need to figure out which ones. Give a reason for each stage of your working. I'm just going to look. Can I find any of these angles quite easily? I can see this one here. It's quite an easy one. It's on a straight line. So angles on a straight line add up to 180. So to find this angle, ADC, I'm doing 180, take away 110, which is 70. And the reason for that is because angles on a straight line add to 180. The next one that I can see is I've got corresponding angles, so I'll just highlight it. I've got an upside down F shape going on here. So this 125 will be corresponding with this angle over here at C. So I'll write that in. That will be 125. So BCA is corresponding to this angle 125 at EFA. And that means it's equal. The next angle that I can find now is this one over here, and it's on a straight line, so I'm just doing 180, take away this angle 125, which would be 55. So angle ACD is equal to 55, and it's the same reason as ADC. Last one we need to find is this angle at A, and we've got angles in a triangle, so we're just going to do 180, because angles in a triangle add up to 180, minus 70, minus 55. We're hoping for an answer of either 55 or 70. 180 take away 70 is 110, take away 55, which would be 55. So this is saying that these two angles are the same. That means this is the base, and that means the two same sides would be these two. I just need to write the reason for that. So angle at CAD is equal to 55, as angles in a triangle add to 180. We just need to prove that it's isosceles, so we can say CAD and ACD are equal to each other. So CAD equals ACD, therefore it's an isosceles triangle. As the base angles are equal. Question 4. It takes 14 hours for 5 identical pumps to fill a water tank. I'm just going to write that in a little table. So I've got hours on my left-hand side, and I've got pumps on the right-hand side. I'm going to put 14 here, and I put 5 pumps. How many hours would it take 4 of these pumps to fill another water tank of the same size? So we're trying to scale this down to 4. The first thing that I'm going to think about is how long would it take if I only had 1 pump? On the right hand side, I've divided by 5. Just have a think, is it going to take a longer amount of time, or is it going to take a shorter amount of time if you have less amount of pumps? It's going to take a longer amount of time, so that means we're going to multiply it by 5 this time. We're not dividing by 5 because it's inversely proportional to each other. 14 multiplied by 5 would be 70. And then on the right hand side, we're multiplying by 4, so we're going to do the opposite to that on the other side. We're going to divide by 4. So half of 70 is 35, half of 35 would be 17.5. So it would take 17.5 hours for 4 pumps to do the same job. If you're doing a question like this, just scale it down to find out how long it takes 1 pump or 1 man to do the same amount of work, and then you can scale it back up. Question 5. A and B are numbers such that A is equal to this and B is equal to this. Find the highest common factor, HCF, of A and B. If you're finding the highest common factor and you've got the numbers in index form, you're just finding the lowest power of the common factors. So what are the common factors here? The 2's are common, but the 3's are common. So we can say the lowest power of the 3's is this 2. So we would write 3 squared first. This 7 is also common, and the lowest power of that is this 1 over here. So we would multiply that by 7. 3 squared is 9, and 9 times by 7 would be equal to 63. So the highest common factor of those two would be 63. Part B, find the lowest common multiple of A and B. To find the lowest common multiple, if they're in index form, we just find the highest power of all of the unique factors. So all of the ones that are different to each other. Let's do that. So the lowest common multiple is going to be the highest power of the 2 is 2 squared. Then the highest power of the 3 is 4, so it's 3 to the power of 4. And then for the 7, it's 7 squared. Let's just multiply all of those together. So 2 squared is 4, 3 to the 4 is 81, and 7 squared is 49. That's equal to 4 multiplied by 81 times by 49, which is 15,876. So 15,876. Question 6. Lava flows from a volcano at a constant rate of 11.9 meters cubed per second. How many days does it take for 67,205,600 meters cubed of lava to flow from the volcano? Give your answer correct to the nearest day. We've got this unit in seconds right now, so we need to scale it up. I've got 11.9, and to get it into minutes, because this is in seconds, how many seconds are there in 1 minute? That'd be 60, so I multiply it to get to minutes. So that's in minutes right now. I need to get it into hours next, so I'd multiply it by 60 again, because there's 60 minutes in an hour. Then I need to multiply it by 24 to get it into days. So I've converted it from seconds to minutes to hours to days, all in one calculation. So this will tell me how much lava is flowing per day. Let's do this calculation. 11.9 multiplied by 60 multiplied by 60 multiplied by 24, which is 1028,160. This is saying that every day 1,028,000 is flowing from the volcano. We want to find out how long it would take this amount, so we're going to divide this amount by this amount. So I've got 67,205,600 divided by 1,028,000. and 28,160. Just type that in carefully. So 67,205,600 over 102,8160. That gives me an answer of 65.364. 65.364. The answer wants it correct to the nearest day, so I want to round it to the nearest unit, and this 3 is telling me I need to round down, so it would become 65 days. Question 7. Here is a graph of y equals x squared minus 2x minus 2. Write down the coordinates of the turning point on the graph y equals x squared minus 2x minus 2. All we're doing here is finding what is this coordinate here. Where does it turn? Where does it go from a negative gradient to a positive gradient? Where does it change? So the x coordinate is 1 and the y coordinate is negative 3. Part B, write down an estimate for one of the roots of x squared minus 2x minus 2 equals 0. Clue here is it's only asking for one of the roots, so we're looking for a place where two things are happening. The roots are wherever it crosses the x-axis, so you can choose either one of these. I would choose the positive one just to avoid mistakes. I can see there's 5 gaps between 1 and 2, so each gap will be worth 0.2. From 2 to the next one, 2.2, 2.4, 2.6, and it's between 2.6 and 2.8, so that would be about 2.7. Question 8. A solid cuboid is made of metal. The metal has a density of 9 grams per centimeter cubed. The volume of the cuboid is 72 centimeters cubed. Work out the mass of the cuboid. The formula triangle that we're going to be using here is our mass, density, and volume formula triangle. We know what the density is, it's 9, and the volume is 72, and we're trying to find out the mass. So the mass is going to be equal to the density multiplied by the volume. So density is 9 multiplied by 72. Which is 648. That would be in grams because it's a mass. Question 9. Some people were asked if they wanted a new television. 70% of the people said yes, and 80% of the people who said yes wanted a television with a large screen. What percentage of the people asked said they wanted a television with a large screen? So if it says 70% of the people said yes, I'm going to convert this into a decimal. I'm going to write it as 0.7. I've just divided it by 100. And 80% of these people, so 0.8 of those people, would be saying yes, that they wanted one with a large screen. I'm just multiplying both of those together because I've got multiple events. So I'm doing 0.7 times by 0.8. 7 times 8 is 56, and there's 2 decimal places, so it'd be 0.56. You can do it with a calculator as well, but it wants it as a percentage. So I just need to convert this back into a percentage. Just multiply this by 100, and that would become 56%. Question 10. ABD is a triangle, C is a point on BD. Work out the length of DC. So we're trying to find out this length here. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. So the first thing I can see, I've got 2 right angle triangles. I've got one side and I've got one angle. And I've got this other triangle where I'm trying to find DC. So the first thing that I'm going to have to do is find a side that's present in both of the triangles. So I'm going to find this side AC. So let's label this triangle. Let's label up this triangle. So we'll do the side opposite to the right angle, which is the hypotenuse, the side opposite to the angle, which is opposite, and the side that's left over is the adjacent. We're trying to find O, and we have H. So which of these from SOHCAHTOA are we going to be using? We're looking for O and H, so that would be sine. And we're finding O, so that means we're doing sine of theta multiplied by my hypotenuse. So I'm doing sine of theta, which is the angle 41, multiplied by the hypotenuse, which is 6.8, and this will tell me what my opposite side is. Just type that in. So sine 41 multiplied by 6.8, which is 4.4612. So this side here that I've just found, I'm going to rewrite it as 4.4612, and I'm going to do the same steps with this. I have one of the sides and I have one of the angles, and I'm trying to find this side. The side opposite to the right angle is the hypotenuse, the side opposite to the angle is the opposite, and the side that's remaining, the side that we're trying to find, is the adjacent. So this time we're looking for A and O. So that would be tan. We're trying to find A, so this time we're doing the opposite divided by tan of theta. So tan of theta is 55 for this one, and we're doing our previous answer divided by tan of 55. So I'm just going to type in ans divided by tan of 55, which is 3.1238. We want it correct to one decimal place, so look after my decimal point, after the 1. The 2 is telling me that I need to round down, so it's just going to stay as it is. It would stay as 3.1 and in centimeters to one decimal place. Question 11. The table shows some information about the heights of a group of adults. Draw a box plot for the information in the table. Let's plot all of these onto the box plot. Let's just check we have everything we need. We have the smallest number, we have the largest number, we have the middle number, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile. So we don't have to work out anything. We just need to plot these lines on. So the smallest one is at 169. We just need to be careful with our scale here. Between 160 and 165, there's 10 gaps. So that means each gap will be worth 0.5. So for every 2 gaps, that's going to be equal to 1. So 169 will be 2 gaps away from 170. So I'll just draw a line at 169. That's that one done. The greatest height is at 186. So I go to 185, count 2 over, draw my line there. That's that one. The median is at 177. So I'm going to go to 177.5. I'll go 1 back from there, draw a line there. That's that. 174 will be 2 back from 175. That's that one. 180 is nice and easy. And then all I need to do is I connect up the 3 in the middle, the median, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile, and then I just connect up the rest of them. Sometimes you refer to it as a box and whiskers plot. This is the box and this is a whiskers. The box plot below shows the distribution of the heights of a group of teenagers. The first part was talking about a group of adults. So the teenagers look like this. Compare the distribution of the heights of the adults with the distribution of the heights of the teenagers. There's 2 things that we can compare. We normally look at the median, and either we can look at the range or the interquartile range. So the median is quite easy. We just need to look at the median value, the value that's in the middle of this box. The median of the teenagers, it's 2 back from 170, so that value would be 169. So teenagers equals 169, and the median for the adults is 177. So that means the adults have a greater median than teenagers. We're next going to look at the interquartile range. So what does that mean? Interquartile range is just the distance between the lower quartile and the upper quartile. Or another way you can think about it is you're going to do the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So let's work it out for the teenagers. So the upper quartile here, that's 170, that's 171. So 171 minus 165, which is 6. And then for this one, we're doing 180 minus 174, so that would also be 6. So adults is also 6. So the teenagers and the adults both have an interquartile range of 6. So just write the both teenagers and adults have an interquartile range of 6. Question 12, show that x minus 1 multiplied by x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 5 can be written in this form where a, b, c, and d are integers. All this is doing is testing us on, can we expand triple brackets? So the first ones that I'm going to do are my 2 negatives, just so that I can get rid of some of the negatives to make it a little bit easier for the last one. So I'm doing x minus 1 multiplied by x minus 5. So I'm multiplying everything in my first bracket by everything in the second bracket. I'm doing x multiplied by x, which is x squared. And then I've got x multiplied by negative 5, which is minus 5x. Negative 1 multiplied by x, which is negative x. I'm going to write it below here. And then negative 1 multiplied by negative 5 is going to be positive 5. And you had 2 things multiplied by 2 things, and I've ended up with 4 terms. So that means I've done it correctly. I'm just going to add these up. So there's nothing to add up with the x squared. Minus 5x minus x is minus 6x plus 5. Then I'm multiplying this one by the one we have left over, which is this x plus 3. So x squared minus 6x plus 5, that's being multiplied by x plus 3. And here we've got 3 terms, here we've got 2, so we should end up with 6 terms altogether. X squared multiplied by x is x cubed. Then x squared multiplied by 3 is plus 3x squared. Negative 6 times by x is negative 6x squared. So I'm going to write anything that I can collect up on the same column just to make it easier later. Negative 6x times by 3 is negative 18x. Then plus 5 times by x is plus 5x. And plus 5 times by 3 is plus 15. Just need to collect these up. Nothing collects up with the x cubed, so just leave that as it is. Plus 3 minus 6 is minus 3x squared. Negative 18 and 5 is negative 13x plus 15. That's my final answer. Question 13. An expression for the nth term of a sequence of triangular numbers is n and in brackets n plus 1 over 2. Prove that the sum of any two consecutive triangular numbers is a square number. Or we're trying to prove that the sum, which just means adding them up together, of two consecutive just means numbers that are next to each other. Triangular just means the numbers that we get out when we put something into here. And square number is just a number that's been multiplied by itself. So it's going to have a squared in it at the end. How can we have two consecutive numbers? The first number could be n, and the number next to it could be n plus 1, or it could be n minus 1, the one before it. Just to make it easier, we're going to use n plus 1, so that we're sticking with positives. I've got, for my first number, n, and in brackets, n plus 1 over 2. And for my second number, I'm going to substitute n plus 1 wherever I see n. So I'm adding n plus 1, I'm swapping that in with an n plus 1. And this n is also going to change to an n plus 1, so n plus 1 plus 1. Over 2. Let's expand this bracket out, and we'll expand this out and clean it up a little bit. So n multiplied by n is n squared. N multiplied by 1 is n. That's over 2. Then for this one, we're going to clean up this bit inside the bracket. So n plus 1 would become n plus 2. So I've got n plus 1 for my first bracket, and then n plus 2 for my second bracket. That's over 2. I need to expand this bracket out next, so I'm doing n squared plus n over 2 plus this, expanding out this bracket, so I'm doing n times n, which is n squared. And a quick way to do this, if you do 1 add 2, gives you 3, so I've got plus 3n, and 1 times by 2 is 2, so plus 2. That's just a quick way of expanding double brackets. Now, because I've got a common denominator of 2, I can collect up all of the terms on the top. So I've got n squared plus n squared, which is 2n squared. That's those done. N plus 3n, which is 4n, and then I've got this 2 that's just left over. That's being divided by 2. So everything on my top is being divided by 2. This is going to disappear, so I'm going to rewrite it as n squared. 4n divided by 2 is 2n, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So now I need to prove somehow that this is a square number. Could I factorize this? I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to make 1, and they're going to add to make 2. So this one's quite simple. The only factors of 1 are 1 and 1. So in my first bracket is n plus 1, and in my second bracket will also be n plus 1. And I can rewrite this so that it's more obvious that it's a square number. Because it's the same thing that's being multiplied by each other, I'm just going to write it as n plus 1 in bracket squared. And this will prove that it's a square number. Question 14. OAB is a triangle. OBC is a sector of a circle with center O. Calculate the area of OBC. I can see I've got a triangle over here. It's not a right angle triangle. And this side here, which is inside the triangle and inside this sector of a circle, is going to be the radius of this circle. So we're going to have to find this side to help us find this area. What rule could we use to find this length BO? I've got two of the sides and I've got this angle between them. That's telling me I need to use my cosine rule. If I had information that was opposite to each other, like a side and an angle, that means I would be using my sine rule, but this one will be cosine rule. So cosine rule is just a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos of a. I'm going to substitute b and c, and this will be my angle cos of a, because this is the side that I'm trying to find. This would be my a. So I'm going to substitute them into here, and then I'll square root the answer because it's a squared. So a is equal to the square root of b squared, which is 9 squared, plus c squared, which is 6, so 6 squared, minus 2 lots of b, 2 lots of 9, multiplied by 6, cos of 35. I'm going to type all of this in, so I'll do 9 squared plus 6 squared, minus 2 multiplied by 9, multiplied by 6, multiplied by cos of 35. Just need to find the square root of that. So square root of my answer is 5.3415. Now that I know this side is 5.3415, it's also telling me that this is the radius of this sector of the circle. So how do we find areas of sectors of circles? All we do is find the proportion of the circle that we have. So it's theta divided by 360 multiplied by the area of a circle formula. So cherry pie delicious and apple pies are 2. So I'm doing 80 over 360 multiplied by pi multiplied by my radius, my previous answer, squared. type in all of this in. So I've got 80 over 360 multiplied by pi multiplied by my previous answer squared. That's equal to 19.9188. We want it correct to three significant figures, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. I'm looking after this 9, and this 1 is telling me that I need to round down. It's going to stay the same as 19.9, and that would be in centimeters squared because we're working out an area to three significant figures. Question 15, factorize a squared minus b squared. I can see this is a special case of factorizing. It's called the difference of two squares. If I had x squared minus 25 and I would factorize it into double brackets, because this is a square and this is a square, square root this and I would square root this, and I would have plus in one of the brackets and I'd have minus in the other bracket. So square root of x squared would be x, square root of 25 is 5, so I'm going to have x plus 5 in the first bracket and x minus 5 in the second bracket. So with this one, I'm going to square root a squared, which is a, square root of b squared is b, so I'm doing a plus b and a minus b. Part B, show that 2 to the power of 40 minus 1 is the product of two consecutive odd numbers. So it just means multiply, and consecutive means next door to each other. So 2 to the power of 40 minus 1, if I square root both of these, I could end up with something that looks just like this. So the square root of 2 to the power of 40, I could write it as 2 to the power of 40, and the square root is also the same as to the power of a half. And if I have a power to a power, it's the same as multiplying them together. So half multiplied by 40 would be 20. So 2 to the power of 20, the square root of 1 is just 1. So it's 2 to the power of 20 plus 1 multiplied by 2 to the power of 20 minus 1. So it just looks exactly like that. I just need to prove that both of these are odd numbers. So I've got 2 to the power of 20, and anything multiplied by 2, because this is just 2 multiplied by 2 being repeated 20 times, would be even. If I add 1 to that number, so I have 2 to the power of 20 plus 1, that would be the odd number after it. And if I have 2 to the power of 20 minus 1, that would be odd also, and that would be the odd number before it. So these two are consecutive odd numbers. That's just proved it. Question 16. On the grid, enlarge t by scale factor of -2 with center of enlargement -2, -2. So first thing I'm going to do is plot on where is -2, -2. That's over here. I can see I've got a nice point over here that I'm going to enlarge first. So I'm going to take this point at the top of t, and I'm going to look, how do I get from my center of enlargement to here? I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. I need to enlarge this by a scale factor of -2, so I'm going to multiply this by 2, which is 8, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction because it's a negative. Because we were going left previously, we're going to go right now. We're going to right by 8 from our center of enlargement. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this point would match up with this point here. I'm going to do this one next. How do I get from my center of enlargement to here? So I'm going 1, 2, 3 to the left, and then I'm going down by 3, 1, 2, 3. So I need to do the opposites of these and multiply it by 2. So I'm going to go right and up this time. I'm going 6 right and 6 up. So starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 would be up here. Last one is this one. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 left. And then down by 3. So I need to do the opposites, which would be right by 10 and up by 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Up by 6 would take me up to here. And you can see that I've got a triangle that's been rotated and the sides have been multiplied by 2. And we'll just check that at the end. If I just look at this base, I have a base of 2 in my original shape, which is t. If I look at my new shape, I have a base of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means I've multiplied it by 2 correctly. Question 17. Here is a distance time graph. Find an estimate of the gradient of the graph at time 2.5 seconds. Show how you get your answer. For this question, I've got a curve and I'm trying to find the gradient. I'm trying to find the slope of the line. How steep is that line going at 2.5? So 2.5 is over here. I'm going to draw a straight line that just touches the line where 2.5 is. So my line would look something like this. The next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to look for a nice coordinate. So I can see this one here that just starts on 3. So I've got this one, which is around 28. I'm going to go across by 1. And then look, how much have I gone up by? So this point if I just take a look, it's at 42, 44, 46. So I'm at 46 here. So the height has increased from 28 to 46. 46 take away 28 is 18. And it's gone across by 1. To work out the gradient, I just take my rise divided by the run. So it's gone up by 18 and the run is 1. I've chosen 1 to make it a lot easier. 18 divided by 1 is just 18. So my gradient, the slope of that part of the line would be 18. Part B, what does the gradient of the graph represent? If we take a look, we have distance and we have time. We're just finding the speed here. We're finding the speed per second. So we can just write speed. Question 18, a solid frustum is made by removing a small cone from a large cone as shown in the diagram. So we've got this large cone and they've removed the small cone over here. The slant height of the small cone is 6 centimeters, that's on. The slant height of the large cone is 10 centimeters, and that's on. The radius of the base of the large cone is 3 centimeters, and that's on. And I can see I've got the radius of this base, but I don't have the radius of that base, so I'm going to have to find that out later. Calculate the total surface area of the frustum. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. To calculate the area, I'm going to need this curved area. I'm going to need this area, which is the area of the base of that small cone. I'm going to need this area, the area of the base of that large cone. The first thing that I'm going to do to help with the calculations is work out what this radius is. And I've got 2 similar cones, so I'm going to just draw 2 similar triangles just to help out with finding that. In the small cone, the slant height is 6. What have I multiplied to get from 10 to 6? I could just do 6 divided by 10, which is 0.6. So to get from the big one to the small one, I've multiplied by 0.6. I know the radius of the large one is 3. I want the radius of this small one, so I need to multiply that also by 0.6. 3 times by 0.6 is 1.8. So now that I know my radius of that small circle is 1.8, I can start working things out. I'm going to first work out the curved area of the frustum. To do that, I'm going to need the curved area of the large frustum, take away the curved area of the small frustum. Curved area, I'm going to do the larger one first. It tells me the formula, which is pi times by radius times by the slant height, the diagonal. So I'm doing pi multiplied by the radius, which is 3, multiplied by the slant height, which is 10. 10 times by 3 is 30, so it's going to be 30 pi. Do the same thing with the small one. I've got pi multiplied by 1.8 multiplied by 6. So 6 times by 1.8, which is 10.8. So I have 10.8 pi. So the curved part, large minus the small, is going to be equal to 30 pi minus 10.8 pi. So 30, take away 10.8 is 19.2, so 19.2 pi. That's telling me that this curved part is 19.2 pi. The next thing that I need to do is find the area of this small circle and the area of this large circle. So let's just find out those areas. So area of circles. I'm going to do the small one first. What's the formula for area of a circle? It's just cherry pie delicious and apple pies are 2. So pi r squared. It's 1.8 for my radius. So I'm doing pi multiplied by 1.8 squared. That's my small one. 1.8 squared is 3.24, so 3.24 pi. I'm going to do the same with the large one. The radius of the large one is 3, so I'm doing pi multiplied by 3 squared, which is 3 squared is 9, so it's 9 pi. I just need to add up all of these. So I've got these two areas, the areas of the circles, and I've got the area of that curved bit. So I just need to add up all of these. 19.2 pi plus 3.24 pi plus 9 pi. So 19.2 plus 3.24 plus 9. So it's 31.44 pi. I want it to 3 significant figures. So let's just find out the exact value for it. So I'm going to multiply that one by pi. It gives me 98.771. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. So I'm looking after this first 7. And this second 7 is telling me that I need to round up. So it's going to become 98.8. That would be in centimeter squared because it's an area. Question 19. Sana needs to draw the graph of y equals 3 to the power of something for x is greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 4. She draws a graph shown on the grid. Write down one thing Sana has done wrong. If I take a look at this, this is an exponential graph. So I just need to substitute these values of x into this. But the first thing that I can see is that the y-intercept is at 0. But if I substitute 0 into here, and you can do it on a calculator, but you should know this, I have 3 to the power of 0. And one of the facts that you need to know is that anything to the power of 0 is going to be 1. So when I have 0 as x, the y value should be 1. So that value should be at 1. So the one thing Sana has done wrong, the value when x equals 0 should be y equals 1 as 3 to the power of 0 equals 1. Question 20. Prove algebraically that 0.123 and the 2 and the 3 are recurring can be written as 61 over 495. It's just testing us on, can we convert recurring decimals into fractions? First thing I'm going to do is set this equal to x. So x is equal to 0.123 and the 2 and the 3 are being repeated. So I'm just going to copy and paste that every time. So 2, 3, 2, 3, and it would go on forever. Because there's 2 decimal places that are repeating, I'm going to multiply by 100. If it's 3, I'd multiply by 1,000, but it's just 2. So 100x is equal to, I'm moving this 2 places to the right, so I've got 12 here, and then I've got 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, and you can see the 2's and the 3's are matching up. If they don't match up, that means you've done something wrong. Just draw a line here, and I'm going to take away x from 100x. 100x take away x is 99x. I'm taking away these from each other. So 12.3 take away 0.1 is equal to 12.2. And all of these would cancel each other out, so they would disappear. I can just solve this. X is being multiplied by 99, so I'm going to divide by 99 on both sides. X would be equal to 12.2 over 99. Right now, I have a decimal with a fraction, so I want to get rid of this decimal. I could multiply both the top and the bottom. I've got equivalent fractions by 10. So 12.2 multiplied by 10 would give me 122. 99 times by 10 would be 990. So it looks very similar to this, but we just need to simplify it. If I divide both of these by 2, I would get 122 divided by 2 would be 61. And 990 divided by 2 would be 495. So you've proved it correctly. Question 21. Solve 1 over x plus 4 plus 3 over 2 minus 2x equals 1. The first thing that I need to do is concentrate on this left-hand side. So I need to find the lowest common multiple of x plus 4 and 2 minus 2x. So I have a common denominator. The only way I can do that is I just multiply them together. So my denominator is going to be x plus 4 in brackets 2 minus 2x. And I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm multiplying this left-hand side by 2 minus 2x. So it becomes 1 multiplied by 2 minus 2x is just 2 minus 2x. And then I'm doing 3 multiplied by x plus 4. So 3 times by x is 3x, and 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. I'm going to clean this up, so I'm going to collect up my like terms. So I have 2 plus 12, which is 14. Negative 2 plus 3, so that's plus 1 lots of x, so 14 plus x as my numerator. Then for my denominator, I have x times by 2, which is 2x. X times by negative 2x, which is negative 2x squared. 4 times by 2, which is 8. And 4 times by negative 2x, which is negative 8x. Simplifying this bottom bit, so I've got 14 plus x as my numerator, minus 2x squared, minus 8x plus 2x, which is minus 6x plus 8. And all of this is equal to 1. So to get rid of this fraction, I just need to multiply everything by this. So I'm multiplying this right-hand side by all of this, my denominator. So now I have 14 plus x is equal to negative 2x squared minus 6x plus 8. I can see I'm going to have to solve this quadratic, so I need to move everything over to one side and make it equal to 0. And I think it would be better if I move everything to the right-hand side, because I've got this negative 2x squared, and it'd be better if it's a positive 2x squared. So to move all of these to the other side, I'm going to add 2x squared, add 6x, and take away 8. I'm just doing the reverse of all of these. So I'm adding 2x squared, adding 6x, and taking away 8. Still got this plus 14 plus x is equal to 0 now. So just combining my like terms, 2x squared, 6x add x is 7x. That's those done. And negative 8 plus 14, which would be plus 6, is equal to 0. I just need to factorize this, so I'm going to do 2 multiplied by 6 first. That one multiplied by that, which is 12. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to make 12 and they add to make this 7. Let's write the factors of 12, so that'd be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. So I can stop there because it would be 3 and 4. So now I'm going to put 2x in my first bracket plus 3, and 2x again in my second bracket plus 4 is equal to 0. You might be thinking, if I expand this out, I've got 2x times by 2x, which would give me 4x squared, but I only want 2x squared. So I need to simplify this one. I'm going to divide it by a common factor. Both of these divide by 2. So this one stays the same as 2x plus 3, and this one, dividing it by 2, would be x plus 2 is equal to 0. I just have two things that are being multiplied by each other that equal 0. So that's telling me one of these will be equal to 0. So I'm going to make this equal to 0, 2x plus 3 equals 0, and this equal to 0, x plus 2 equals 0. So solving this one, so it's going to become negative 3 and dividing by 2, so x would equal negative 3 over 2, and for this one, x would equal negative 2. So those are our two solutions. Question 22. Given that the vector a26 plus b82 is parallel to the vector 13,6, find an expression for b in terms of a. This just means I need an expression b is equal to something with a on the other side. What does it mean if one vector is parallel to another vector? It just means that the gradients will be the same, the slope of the lines will be the same. I'm going to translate this into an equation. I don't know what the gradient of this is, so I'm just going to use k for my gradient. Let's expand this out. So I've got 2 multiplied by a, which is 2a, 8 multiplied by b, which is 8b, is equal to 13 multiplied by something, but we don't know what that is. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this bottom one. So I've got 6a plus 2b, which is equal to 6k. Now I can see in these two equations, these simultaneous equations, I've got k's in both of them, and the question told me I want b in terms of a. So I need to try and get rid of this k somehow. I'm going to try and equate them to each other. So the first thing that I'm going to do is divide all of this first equation by 13, and then I'm going to divide all of this second equation by 6, and that would make the k's equal to each other. So dividing all of this by 13, I would have 2 over 13a plus 8 over 13b is equal to k. So that's the first one done. For the second one, I've got 6a being divided by 6, so that would be a, plus 2 over 6, so that would be 1/3 b is equal to k. And now I have these two equations, which are both equal to k. I can make this equation equal to this equation. So I've got 2 over 13a plus 8 over 13b equals this equation, a plus 1/3 b. Now I just need to get rid of all of these fractions. What could I multiply by to get rid of all of these fractions? I know 39 is my lowest common multiple of 13 and 3, so I'm going to multiply everything by 39. 2/13 multiplied by 39 would become 6a. 8/13 multiplied by 39 would become 24b is equal to 39a. And 1/3 multiplied by 39 would become 13b. I just need to bring my a's onto one side and my b's onto the other side, and I can see I have more a's on the right hand side and I have more b's on the left hand side. So I'm going to take away 13b from both sides, and I'm going to take away 6a from both sides. So then I'm left with 24 take away 13, which is 11b, is equal to 39 take away 6, which is 33a. Now I just need to solve this. I want b in terms of a, so I need to divide both sides by 11 because I want b on its own. So dividing both sides by 11, b would be equal to 33 divided by 11 is 3, so that would be 3a. Question 23. A circle has equation x squared plus y squared is equal to 25. What's the general equation for a circle? So that would be x squared plus y squared is equal to the radius squared. And this is telling me two things. It's telling me the center of the circle is at 0, 0, and it's telling me what the radius is. So here, because r squared is equal to 25, the radius, the square root of 25 is 5. Let's just draw that onto a xy graph. Because the radius is at 5, it would cross the y-axis at 5 and -5, and the x-axis at 5 and -5. Just drawing that circle on. The point P with coordinates -3, 4 lies on the circle. So -3, 4 is somewhere about there. That's point P. Alex says that the tangent to the circle at P crosses the x-axis to the point -8, 0. So this is saying if I have a line that touches the circle just there, that point, he's saying it would be at -8, 0. We just need to fact check this. Is this correct or not? Is Alex correct? Show how you get your answer. This is a normal question that comes up at GCSE. We're just finding the equation of a line tangent to a circle. First thing that we need to do, so step 1 would be finding the gradient of this line. That's step 1. The second step would be to find the equation of this line. And then the final step would be just to check that x-intercept. Let's do step 1. So we're going to find the gradient of that line. I'm just going to redraw it as a little triangle just to make it a little bit easier. That's 0, 0. From there to there is -3. And from there to there is 4. And my gradient is the rise over the run. So it's going to be 4 over -3. So my gradient is m. This line is perpendicular to my previous gradient because it's at a tangent. These meet at 90 degrees. Because they're perpendicular, the gradient of this second line, m2, is going to be the inverse reciprocal of this. So the inverse reciprocal means if it's negative, it's going to change into a positive. So it's going to be a positive now. And reciprocal means I need to flip it. So instead of 4 over 3, it's going to become 3 over 4. And that makes sense because it's a positive gradient. I know that it's going through this point, -3, 4. So if I substitute all of these into the general form for an equation of a line, I can find that equation of a line. So the general form for equation of line is y equals mx plus c, and I just need to find out what this c is. These are my xy coordinates. I'm going to substitute these in. Y is 4, m is 3/4, x is -3, and I need to find out what c is. So 4 is equal to 3 times by -3 is -9 over 4 plus c. Add in 9 over 4 to both sides. Add in 9 over 4 to both sides, and I can think of this as 16 over 4 plus 9 over 4, which is equal to 25 over 4. So c is 25 over 4. So the final equation will be my gradient, which I found earlier, and my y-intercept. I'm going to substitute both of these into the equation of a line. So this equation of line number 2 is y equals 3/4 x, that's the gradient, plus 25 over 4. Last thing that I need to do is check, does it cross the x-axis at -8, 0? When does this line cross the x-axis? It's when y is equal to 0, because the x-axis is y equals 0. So I'm substituting y equals 0 into here. So 0 is equal to 3/4 x plus 25 over 4. I'm going to move this 3/4 x over to the other side. So it becomes -3/4 x equals 25 over 4. And I can cancel out these 4's by multiplying by 4 on both sides. So I'm left with -3x is equal to 25. Just dividing by -3 on both sides. So x is equal to -25 over 3. If you do this on your calculator, -25 divided by 3 is -8 and 1/3. And Alex thought it would cross at -8, but it's actually crossing at -8 and 1/3. So Alex would be incorrect. The line crosses the x-axis at -8 and 1/3. Question 24. There is a total of y counters in a box. So let's just make a note of that. The total of all of the counters is y. There are x pink counters and 5 blue counters in the box. So pink to blue is x to 5. And the rest of the counters are green, so there's also green counters. And x to y is 1 to 3. So x to y is 1 to 3, and I can translate this into an equation, cross-multiplying these. So 3 times by x would be 3x, and y times by 1 is just y. So 3x is equal to y. So I can swap this y with 3x. It tells me that the greens are the remainder of the counters. So I can swap this green with 3x, which is the total of all of the counters, minus x, minus 5, which is the pink and the blue counters. 3x minus x is 2x, so it'd be 2x minus 5. So I know the green counters are 2x minus 5, the blues are 5, and the pinks are x. Frida takes at random 2 counters from the box. Find, in terms of x, an expression for the probability that Frida takes 2 counters of the same colour. How can we get the same colour? We could get pink and pink. We could get blue and blue, or we could get green and green. Give your answer as a fraction in the form ax squared plus bx plus c over dx squared plus ex, where a, b, c, d and e are integers. All we're doing here is finding the probabilities of pink, pink, blue, blue and green, green. We need to remember that because the counters are not being replaced, that this is a dependent question, so the probabilities will change from the first pick to the second pick. Let's do the pinks first. So the probability of pink and pink. How can we get pink for our first pick? There's X amount of pink counters, so it would be X over the total amount of counters, which is 3X. And for the second pick, because we've lost one of these counters, it's going to be X minus 1 over 3X. And we've also lost 1 from the total, so it'd be 3X minus 1. X times by X minus 1 would be X squared minus X. For my denominator, 3X times by 3X is 9X squared. 3X times by negative 1 is minus 3X. And I'm choosing not to simplify yet because I think all of them will have the same denominator. Normally when you're working with probabilities, you'll have same denominators. Next we'll do the probability of blue and blue. For the blues, we have 5 over 3X for the first pick. For the second pick, we've lost one of the blues, so it's going to be 4 over 3X minus 1. 5 times by 4 is 20. And 3x times by 3x minus 1 is just the same as what we had before. So 9x squared minus 3x. Last one, we need to do green and green. For the first pick, it's 2x minus 5 over 3x. That's the total amount of counters. And then for the second pick, this is going to drop down by 1. So we need to be careful. This negative 5 is going to change to a negative 6. We're taking away 1. So it's 2x minus 6 over 3x minus 1. The denominator is quite easy. It's just going to be 9x squared minus 3x. I'm just going to do my numerators separately. So I've got 2x minus 5 multiplied by 2x minus 6. 2x times by 2x is 4x squared. 2x times by negative 6 is negative 12x. Negative 5 times by 2x is negative 10x, and negative 5 times by negative 6 is plus 30. Just combining those two in the middle, I've got 4x squared minus 22x plus 30. I'll just rewrite that out over here. So I've got 4x squared minus 22x plus 30. Last thing that I need to do is combine all of these. And the nice thing here is that they all have common denominators, 9x squared minus 3x. So the final answer will have a denominator of 9x squared minus 3x. And we're just going to combine all of these. Let's just highlight all of my x squared. So I've got x squared there and I've got x squared there. So I have x squared plus 4 lots of x squared. That's 5x squared. Then I'm going to do my x's, which is negative x and negative 22x. So negative 1 take away 22 is negative 23x. Then the numbers on their own, which is just this plus 30 plus 20, and 30 add 20, which is just 50. And if I take a look, my answer looks exactly like theirs. I've got ax squared plus bx plus c on my numerator and dx squared plus ex, and all of them are integers. That's the end of the questions for today. I'd recommend you go through all of them and write down the topics that you struggle with before you attempt another past paper. Feel free to contact me or reach out if you need any help with anything. Otherwise, you can check out my channel for more walkthroughs and work solutions. I'll see you soon.